Hi guys, welcome back to Living in Reality with Azine Williams. Today, we are going to be talking about something that affects us all, especially we women. Yes, which is childbirth, having kids. Is it a blessing or a burden? We know that childbirth is the most important commitment any woman could make. We also know how it affects us health-wise, emotionally, financially, at our jobs. And today we are going to talk about it, the merits and the demerits of childbearing. And in the studio with me today is Mrs. TessyIlozue. She is a TV presenter, a producer, a mental health counselor, and a marriage and family therapist. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's just get straight up. Straight up. Is it worth it? Having kids in this time and age for a woman, coming from a woman's perspective, is it worth it?
I think the first question we should address is, what is the idea of even having children?
We'll get there.
In what context? So you said that, is it worth it? Now I see it from two different perspectives. It depends on where you're coming from as a person.
Okay.
Your perspective of life and your understanding and your culture and what you value will actually determine whether you think it is worth it having children or not. Because there are people who their life's worth, like their life's purpose, is to raise children. You can't tell that kind of person that it's not worth it. That's why you see some people have children 7, 8, and then you're wondering how now, like a one human being. But that's because their values support them having children. But if a person's value and the things that they plan to do with their life doesn't seem like a child can fit into that, then to them it will be a burden to actually have children. Because anything that you're supposed to do or that you want to do, there is a purpose behind it, and there's also the grace to actually do it.
Okay. So now it's said that Nigerians, we give birth to about approximately 7 million babies every year. Okay. Now, that is not the sad part. The sad part is the maternal mortality rate is about 576 per 100,000 live births, which is the 4th highest in the world. And as if that's not enough, infant mortality stands at 69 per 1,000 live births. Approximately 262,000 babies die at birth every year, which makes Nigeria the 2nd highest in the world. That is behind India. Looking at these statistics, I don't know how I feel about this. Okay. You know, we come from a country where mostly for women, their worth is basically tied to either marriage or childbirth.
Yes.
Looking at these statistics, what are your thoughts? Still, you know, in the topic of, is it worth it? Because I really want to know, this time around, with facts, that is being, of course, backed by UNESCO or UNICEF rather. So what do you think?
Well, honestly, so let me start by saying that I'm married and I have 2 beautiful children. I have 2 boys.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to a 3rd.
Okay.
Okay, so hold that thought. Right. Now let's get into it. So, looking at everything, the statistics and all, I would say that the world is changing rapidly. Like you said, in this time and age, that was the first thing that you said, which means that there was a time and age where some of these things were okay. Right? Because it was all right to deal with all of these things. I mean, we've been having children since the days of Jesus, even before he was born. Children are part of life. So first establishment is that it is part of life to have children. That's how we replenish the earth. Imagine if Adam and Eve or if Abraham decided that, you know, if nobody decided
we humans would have gone extinct.
Exactly. So imagine nobody gave birth. We'll just be circling around each other. Life
7
would be boring.
million babies.
So you see, the thing is, that's an economical problem. Why? Because we are not equipped in the country, Nigeria as a whole, Africa, but Nigeria. I don't like when people call Nigeria Africa. Nigeria is in Africa. So this part of Africa, we are not equipped. We don't pay attention to things like healthcare.
Exactly.
And so that's the reason why these things are happening. That's one. 2, culture plays a huge role. Now, find out the people who are giving birth a lot. You will see that culture plays a huge role. We're having that conversation before we started. And you understand that when a person's culture tells them, because we are all tied to our culture.
Culture and religion.
Yes,
they
culture
are
and religion, they intertwine. Yes. So imagine you come from a place where all you're taught about is that the only thing you're born to do in this life as a woman is to have children. That's where your worth comes from. You now imagine a woman who is not having children in that kind of space. She's going to be depressed.
Of course.
She'll be made an outcast. Her life is going to be ruined and she has no worth, meaning she's going to die empty and unfulfilled.
Yes.
So you see that having children is tied to culture and even religion sometimes. So when you think about this idea, it is even the person. Now for me, because I'm a therapist, I will come from the person's perspective. If you come from a family where you have a lot of siblings, there's a high tendency that most of the people there won't have children. I'll give you an example. When I come from a family of 3, I have 3 siblings. I'm the first. I have 3 younger ones.
I have 6. So yeah, we qualify as
you're my senior.
Plenty kids. And honestly, I do not want to have plenty children.
I know. That's why I said some people really agree to that. So for me, when I was getting married to my husband, I love kids. I don't have a problem with them. I just like the idea. And see the thing, when God made women, he put that instinct in all of us.
But I do not think every woman has that.
Not every woman has it.
And that's okay.
Yes, not every woman has that. In fact, there are people who are born without the inclination to want to give birth or even have sex. There are people who, all the sexual thing that is turning you on. No, but there's people who don't, it doesn't matter to them. They don't feel it. But there are some people, they don't eye you like this, your whole body is turning up and down. So it's different for everybody. But the majority of women actually are born with that instinct of wanting to have children, which is why a woman finishes having a child now. She goes through all the pain. Give her 3 years. She was that time she gave birth to 2 years after she said, I'll never have a child. Me go through this thing. God knows. Just give her some time.
It looks like we are talking from experience.
Yes. Like give her some time. I said I was going to adopt a 3rd child because my 2nd child was fine. I've not had issues with my childbirth at all. Of course. I just thought the economy make I know to do this thing, so it was a big deal. But at the end of the day, I realized that now I'm wanting a 3rd child because I want a girl. Right. So, and I'm like, I really want to twin with somebody. It's not bad for me to wish to twin, So I'm like, Lord, please give me this 3rd child. But now I am not just going to give birth. I am planning for it. Initially, it was just
let me give birth.
They will just born. Make it be say, you understand what I'm saying? But now I'm like, okay, I want a girl. So let me plan. Am I ready right now to have a girl and take care of the child? No. So that's why I say it comes to the person, the planning. If people give careful thoughts to giving birth, it will not be as chaotic as now,
there's something you said about planning, getting ready to have children. And for me, I see a lot of people that are not ready to have children, having children. And I'm not talking about, the young girls, that got pregnant, maybe out of wedlock or something. No, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people, grown-ups, adult women or men too, that, okay, I'm maybe 30, so I should have a child. Your biological clock is ticking, so you should have a child. Then we have parents, that brings about parents that are not emotionally matured to have kids.
Talk about African parenting.
Yes. We have women that, resent their children because they feel like, them pain. Thank you.
You cost me pain. You changed my life. It was because of you.
I know someone that her mom literally tells her, if not that I, had you, I would have been so place in life. Therefore, the woman, it's not like she was abused or anything. She was in a marriage, but I feel like she felt like she wasn't ready, but she had to give birth. Now, that brings me to ask, what would you think would a person consider and say, okay, now I am ready to do this. I'm ready to have children.
So there's something that a lot of us don't consider when we're getting married. Having children is usually identified with marriage a lot of times. Why? Because of our values as Africans. We don't believe in having children outside wedlock. Now it's becoming rampant because a lot of moral structure is being broken. So it's now like a big deal. Everybody's having children regardless. In fact, it's now a criteria.
It's like a normal thing.
To have a child before you get married. After all, I go still marry you, you know. But that's where the problem is, like you said, they are not prepared. So as a person, when you come off that adolescent age, you're a young person and all, you owe yourself a duty to go for counseling or therapy. And I'll tell you why. The family you're coming from, they have values, they have ways that they behave. There's a tendency, when a child is born like a canvas.
Yeah, a clean
like
slate.
Clean slate, nothing. So everything that the child becomes between the ages of 0 and 6, a key part of that child's life is formed. Key informations are formed in the brain. Now, between 5 and 6 and 15, the basis of this person's whole life is already formed.
True.
Which means you can't really do so much after that age.
Yes.
You can't really create a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now, imagine growing up in an abusive home or in a home where there are lots of things, dysfunctional home, stuff are happening. You don't not a healthy or a secure home, because there are 3 types of attachment styles and parenting styles. And those parenting styles are usually chaotic.
Yeah.
So a child grows up in this place, you see life through the lenses of how your parents loved you.
Yeah.
So if your parents' love for you was to spank you, you carry that thought in your mind. You may hate it, you may resent it. But when you want to love somebody else, you can only express your love
through that,
because that's how you saw your parents love you. So they are beating you and they are saying, but I love you, that's why I'm beating you. So you feel that it's okay for someone to beat you because they love you. That's a dysfunctional thought. You now need to go for counseling to be able to recondition your mind. Now, at that point of going for help, seeking for help, you now understand that life is not the way I grew up. My parents didn't know better, so this is what they did. Now I want to make my life better. So the moment you become that, it affects your genetics. Do you know that? Your mental health affects your genetics.
Really?
Times. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Mental health issues are transgenetic.
Wow.
It can pass if any of your parents or anybody had dysfunctional issues, maybe like depression or anxiety, you're most likely going to have it.
What?
Yes.
Just like health issues?
Yes.
Wow.
So you carry those things in you, those pain, those experiences, and you move on. Now imagine 2 people who are from dysfunctional homes now get married. Then they now think that let them just have a child because they will have a child. Do you know what they are making? They are making a combination of 2 dysfunctional people. So they are going to create more dysfunctional children who will grow up and continue the cycle. So if you want to get married, one of the things you owe yourself as a young person, as a single person, before you go, and I didn't have that opportunity because I didn't know better.
Yeah.
But at least I had some small guide that corrected my brain before I got married. Yeah. So I now go and say, okay, let me get some help, get to know what's going on. Then I sit with my spouse in a premarital counseling class, professional, not church.
The one. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say. Because a lot of people in church, they just look at marriage counseling and put people as marriage counselors because they have been married for donkey years.
You can
long marriage does not mean good
successful marriage. Yes. Yes, please say it again because
long marriage does not mean a successful or a good marriage. Yes. You know, there are people that you ask, how many years have you been married? They will be like 30 years. But there are people you will ask and they'll be like 30 wonderful years. There's a difference.
Yes, yes.
But continue.
So that's the thing. You go and you sit with a professional premarital classes, pay for it, it's worth it. Sit down because you're entering something you have never done before. Have you married before? You never married before.
Even those that have married before can carry the scars of that to another one.
Yes. So you go and sit down and you have these things checked out. What does this thing entail? What is this person doing? How do we tackle this? What are the things that upset you? What are the things that now we can see each other in the light? We're now saying, okay, this is where she's coming from. So if she behaves like this, I understand why. And I'm able to adjust to suit her. Both of you are working to make things work. Then you can sit down with yourselves and say, okay, now let's plan. How many kids do we want to have? You talk about it before you marry. How many kids do you want to have? Why do we want to have this number of kids? Not because my family must have 4 children. And the guy wants to have just 1 child. Now it becomes a problem in the marriage. Then because both of you cannot control your sexual urge, or you don't want to do family planning. Because culture again, if I use implants, it will make my body system scatter. Who told you?
And the man too should use something now. Why is it always the women?
Because let's not enter that topic.
Okay.
If we enter that topic, we would not finish today. So do you understand? So that's the thing. It is the planning that happens. So sit down and say, okay, when do we want to have kids? Now, this is where it's dicey. The woman's biological clock is a big deal. I recently found out, I told you I'm thinking of having a 3rd child. So I recently said, okay, let me just even read up because I'm a junkie for information. So I said, let me read up. And I found out that when a child is born, a girl child,
Yeah.
you have over 1 million sperm
Eggs.
Right. Now, by the time you're maybe like 16 or 17, you only have 700,000 left.
So between what we've shared,
and you've not done your period,
wow,
you have lost the egg. Now, between that age and when you're 30, your eggs have reduced to like 500. Between 30 and when you're 35, your eggs will be like 300.
Wow.
By the time you're 35, your eggs are not just losing. You're not just losing your eggs. Look at the progression of loss. So that is not just happening. It's now happening faster. So if you are losing 1 egg every day, now you're probably going to be losing 2 or 3 eggs every day when you're across 35. So that explains why people don't really get pregnant easily at that age.
And that explains why a lot of people are rushing to have children when they are not mentally, physically, financially ready to have children.
So you see?
Now, that brings me to another topic, another subtopic.
Yeah.
Which is women, our modern day women, young girls that have decided we do not want to have children. Do you think that is a selfish thing?
Selfish is not the word I would use it. Yes, the reason may be selfish because they've seen themselves as the society has stigmatized women to take all the pain of the burden of the children because we are the carriers. But in actual sense, the man and the woman carry the children. The only difference is that one carries it physically while the other one also shares in the burden.
I don't think most of these men
that's what I'm saying. If you have the right man with you,
that's keyword, right?
Yes, if you have the right man with you. So the burden, you not think about it like, so wait till I keep myself for why I go born picking? Why I go stress myself? I might as well day like that. Now make I just enjoy my life to go, yeah. But there's also a fulfillment you will not get because sometimes you want adults.
Sorry to cut you short, right? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do not think it's because they are thinking, oh, my body, oh, the burden. There are people that genuinely, they've looked at themselves. Like, I know of someone, right? I always say I know of someone because actually I know people. Anyways, I know of someone, not personally, who, you know, I read through her memoir. She wrote a book. She said the reason why she chose not to have kids is because she has looked at her life. You said something coming from an abusive home and all of that.
Home.
You know, and she said mentally she would not want to bring a child into this world and let that child suffer. So it's better for her. She's not cut out for motherhood, you know. But you see her, she's a person that, you know, from everything I'm saying, she loves children. She, you know, but to say her own. No. So sometimes I look at it, I'm like, there are people that genuinely, not all of us are going to have children. Some want to have children, but we will not have. Some don't want to have children, but we still have it.
Yes.
Some is because they have, you know, made a decision not to have. But the world is too big.
It's too big.
Nigerians, we tend to stigmatize, you know, I saw somebody on Twitter that said, she came out like, nah, I do not want, I'm in my 20s, yes, but I do not want to have children. And people were like dragging her. Like, why would you say that? I'm like,
it's her opinion.
It's her choice.
Yeah.
You know, it's her choice. It's also like a woman that will come out and say, I want to have 10 children. Who are we to say that's selfish of you?
Yeah.
You know, when women, it's two extremes. When a woman says she does not want to have children, people are like, you're selfish, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. When a woman says she wants to have plenty of children, they'll be like, what do you want to do? How much do you want? You know, do you have enough money to take care of that? Do not bring children into this world you cannot take care of. And I'm like,
people will always be people.
What is our problem?
There's no problem. People will always be people because there are people on different sides of the spectrum. There are people who believe, like I said, that person may be afraid of, like the lady said rightly, she has, you know, where she's coming from. She doesn't want to replicate that. Yeah. Now, my question is, what are you doing to work on that? Because it's not enough to use you. It's like somebody telling me now that, oh, I broke my leg when I was younger, and so I don't think I'll ever go to work again.
No, but me, there was a time I had a very near drowning incident with, swimming pool. And I told myself I'm not swimming. I'm scared of swimming.
Because that is what the brain does to you. It's called the fear syndrome. Fear doesn't exist. It just associates an event with how it makes you feel. That particular event makes you feel scared. And when you're scared, you're tensed. And it passes a lot of fluid and there's a neural pathway in your brain that affects the way your body behaves. Because your brain and your mind affects your body. So it affects the way your body, and your brain knows you don't like it. So it will tell you anytime you see swimming pool, don't go. It creates a fear. So every time you see a swimming pool, you associate it with fear. But the moment you learn how to swim, or you decide that you're going to take your time to learn how to swim regardless, you remove that thing. What you just do is you just remove. So it now translates that fear into she feels good and she's healthier when she swims. So it's a good feeling.
So you're saying, in essence, when a woman or a person has gone through that and say, you know what, I do not want to have kids, it's something they have to deal with, the root cause of it.
Yes.
But I also stand that it's okay not to want to have kids.
It's okay not to want to.
Because then we live in a very hypocritical country.
People always
a man would say he doesn't want to have kids. People will be like, oh, I understand. But a woman will say the same thing, and
culture.
Nobody wants to understand that. But still on this topic, a woman decides to have children. I read up that in civil service, I think they have 16 weeks for maternity leave, 8 weeks before pre-birth, 8 weeks after, and all of that. Do you think that having children, pregnancy, hinder women from progressing in the workplace, in school? Because I've read up of women that, because of childbirth, they had to take a break. While their male counterparts are busy, soaring, they have to lag behind because of childbirth. So looking at that, do you think that, okay, that's enough reason for a person to be like, no, I'm not prepared for this now? Because there are women that are saying, okay, because of my career, because of my education, where I want to be, children cannot fit into the plan. So what are your thoughts on that? You're just saying,
Yeah, because I'm assimilating what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, first of all, men and women are different.
Do you think that men have a head start?
Based on the society's view, and
when it comes to career wise,
yes, and that's what I'm getting to by saying that men and women are different. And I say that the way a man is built, from his brain function to his body function, a man is built with single sight. Single sight meaning a man cannot focus on multiple naturally. Word is naturally, a man cannot focus on multiple things at the same time. He's best fitted to single his eyes and get that thing done. He's blessed with natural physical strength. He doesn't really need to do much to be strong. It's a part of his, his general, it's part of the way he is. His physiology is part of it. A woman can multitask. A woman can focus on many things at the same time. Her physiology is not built to do heavy stuff or certain heavy things. Doesn't mean she can't. The same way, she has to work on it consciously to get it done. Same for the man. He has to work on it consciously to become a multitasker. Not that he can never be a multitasker. He can. Now, when you look at the male and the female differences, you now see that actually from time, if I was to, because I'm a Christian, so I'll speak from that perspective. A man is built to hunt, to fight. Everything about him is built to be the one on the outside, to provide, to give, The woman is equipped with the ability to do house chores, to take care of naturally. It comes to her naturally. Take care of children, have children, procreate, and all of that. So if you look at everything from the genealogy of Jesus, before Jesus, all the way down, notice how the women are being looked at. What the men do when the disciples were part of Jesus. Check out what they were doing. Fisherman, tax this one, When it now came to all the women, check out what they were doing. They were mostly, oh, Mary, you have Martha, you have, all of them like that had different things and they were not in the field. So naturally, those things work for us. But back to your question. No, there are exceptions.
Because Deborah was,
yes, that's what I'm saying. But because she worked on that part, she was a judge. She worked on that part of herself to become that. But it was not her part of her natural inclination as a woman. So yes, a woman deciding that she wants to be in a certain space does not mean that she cannot be in that space. Let's just don't compete with the man. The man is not your competition. So you decide that you want to follow your career and everything. And you plan yourself. Again, planning. You say, okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to be, and I want to have children. Question is, prioritize your list. Which one comes first? So I'll use myself as an example so I don't make it abstract. When I was in TV in the media for a while. I was working with a TV station and I was a TV presenter. I was doing a morning show. I had 2 other shows I was co-producing and also presenting. I had a guest house. I had just gotten married. I had a guest house where I was staying at work. Sometimes my husband would have to come with me to my guest house to stay. Why? Because I wasn't home.
Yeah.
At some point, I asked myself, what is important to me? I will always have this career, yes. But if I want to grow, because I'm big on family.
Yeah.
If I want to grow the kind of family I want that is not dysfunctional, I need to be present to do that. My husband had no idea and had no choice in the decision I made. And I told him, I said, you know what? I want to quit. This was at the peak of my career.
So now,
everybody thought I was crazy.
No, but now you see that instance.
Yeah.
A man doesn't have to make that sacrifice.
Oh no, he doesn't have to make that sacrifice.
But women, because we are focused on, our home, we are trained to do like that.
Yes.
From the time I was like how many years old, I've always heard that. And honestly, do I think it's a bad thing? No. I do not think it's a bad thing.
Even if they don't tell you, you do it.
Like, yes. But I feel like, I'm trying to be like the devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
right?
it's okay.
Not women that are arguing that, men always have a head start more than them. That instance alone kind of supports what they are saying. And that's why I said, for me, I don't think them selfish. I don't think them saying, you know what, family, like you said, everybody has their own priority.
Yes.
The fact that 80% of us feel like, we are family oriented, family should be a priority, does not mean that the 20% that want to prioritize their work, it's a bad thing. And I think that's what the society does. They'll be like, oh, this girl, why would you say, oh, you don't want to have family? When you get married, it's almost like everybody shall looking, womb watching.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Womb watching, true.
And they're like, oh, you're not getting any younger, I'll have children. And when the woman says, oh no, I do not want to have children now, I'm at the, like you said, not everybody has the courage.
Yes.
You understand?
Oh yes.
No, but everybody's calling. And you see, as a Christian too, I understand there are callings to these things. So not everybody has that calling. So when you said you had to make a decision, which one is more important to me?
Right now.
And at that time, your family came first.
Yes.
And, a lot of people be like, yes, that's the right, But what about the woman that says, nah, my career comes first?
But that's her choice. Nobody should be shamed for making a decision based on where people
are actually
Yes, because we are in Nigeria. Sis, we are in a place where culture and the kind of values that we have support this. Check out how our parents were before. Do you know that our parents were being married as second wives, third wives, not because of love. It was because of work. Men at that time, the major thing they were doing were hunting and farming. And the larger the plot of land you have, the more people you need to pay. So instead of paying outsiders, it was a thing of pride to have your family handle that farming and
a lot of children.
Which is why you give birth to more children, which is why you marry more wives. It was not out of love. It was not out of anything. It was for the enrichment of your dynasty.
Now, thank you.
But it has evolved.
I know, but still, there's still particles of that lingering in the modern day society.
Yeah.
Where we have, women give birth and the children kind of goes to the man. That's our culture. Like, you are the one that carried the child, but the child is not going to answer you. Even though there are minute cultures I know in Nigeria that, the child can, go to the mother. I think
bear the mother's name. Is that what you mean?
Not in Nigeria, in Ghana. I experienced it in Ghana. Yeah. They go to their mother's side. But Nigerians are like their father's, side. And looking at all those, people look at the health implication of having children. It's not as easy as Nollywood makes it look.
Nollywood doesn't even make it easy. They make it look like you always throw up. I never threw up for any of my children.
No, but
I didn't have those symptoms. But when you watch it, you be like, hey,
Hollywood's own is better. What about Indian films that make you any woman that is pregnant will faint? I used to watch a lot of Indian films. I still watch it now. Then how do I know a woman is pregnant then?
She's always fainting.
She'll just faint. And I'm like, is this what I don't want to
It's not
faint.
for everybody. It's not for everyone.
But then there are exceptions.
As always.
But the way they're making it look, I don't think all pregnancies are that glamorous.
No. See, this is now we're entering into the biological part of a man and a woman's body.
Yeah.
Truth is, a woman will get pregnant. A lot of things will change. You're bringing forth another human being. A lot of things will change in your body. My feet grew bigger.
That's normal.
Do you understand what
that
I'm
one
saying?
Is normal for pregnant women.
See, it grew bigger. A lot of things happened to me. I didn't have any of those things like lose my hair and all of those things. Why? Now, some of those things you're running away from, or some of those things that women are running away from, that are afraid of losing their teeth, losing their hair. When you check, there's a genetical background. It's either from where they are coming from, there's an underlying disease that they've not really noted that is causing them to do that. Because your body doesn't react to things that there's no root cause. Now, even miscarriages, do you know that sometimes this is going to throw this whole thing away, but I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Some miscarriages, a lot of miscarriages are not witchcraft.
Of course,
it's
I
not
know.
Village people.
RH factor,
your body,
those ones.
You're even being nice. Me, I don't want to be nice. The reason why some people have miscarriages is that your body is built in such a way that when a baby is being formed, the body checks everything about that baby's formation to be sure that everything is in place.
Yeah.
If one part of that baby is missing or is wrong, it sends a signal to the brain to abort because that child is not complete.
But sometimes also it's the partners. There's something I read. Let me not say what I don't know, but the man and the woman, if something is not compatible or something.
Yes, that's also part of it. That's what I'm saying, that so some of these things that we experience as women, miscarriages and all of that, may not necessarily be things that are peculiar to women. It may just be anything can happen in the man's area. For example, there are men who have certain genetical issues. When they're about to give birth, because they are bringing the sperm, the woman is bringing the egg. Without the sperm, egg, nothing will form.
True.
Without so it's a combination, which means that genes, DNA is being combined together. That's a lot of work. So when you want to do these things, go and do a check. We don't prioritize these things in Nigeria. Go and do a check for yourself. Find out what's wrong with your body. What do you have? What's going on with you? These are part of the planning, because the things you are afraid of, you are just afraid of them. You have no information. You are just taking information from what others have said. Like how someone came and said that when you are pregnant, you should hide your pregnancy on Instagram. I got so upset I had to respond. I usually don't do that. Like, hide your pregnancy from the world so that it's not. And I'm like, so all the people we have seen that have brought their pregnancy outside and their babies have survived, did they do anything special?
No, but village people are real.
Nobody's saying they are not real. But did those people not have village people? Everybody has village people somewhere.
It depends on where the village people want to attack you.
See, that's the thing. We are more afraid of evil than we are
I get
of
you.
the good things.
I get you. I get you. But I'm trying to build a case.
I know.
I can't always agree with you.
It's the mindset. So that brings us back to the mental health concerns. There are life challenges you've gone through. Anything that you think you attract, that's just the truth. If you're a negative-minded person, most likely you're going to attract a lot of negative things. And
you know why I'm smiling?
Why?
You said anything I think I attract.
Yes. Actually, it's called the laws of attraction.
Really?
And it's proven, yes. It is very, very proven. Even
I've been thinking of something it has not come, but no problem.
The thing is, how much of that thing have you thought about? Is it now internalized? Because it's not just thinking about it. We all daydream.
It's which one is daydream? This one is very internalized. Like, if I get it,
So that's the thing. The thing is, your whole being is based on your mindset, how you think about things, how you view things. This meeting is a manifestation of how I've been thinking. I haven't had this before now. But the moment I start working on my mindset and I start realizing these are the things I would like to do, I changed my mind. And that's why the connection was able to happen.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Anything you believe, anything you will attract. And there are scriptures to even prove that.
Yeah.
You see, whatever you believe, say, if you do not doubt, you will get it. That's faith. That's one side. Now, there's the part of what are you embodying as a woman, as a person? When you're making those decisions not to have children or to have children, what are they, where is it coming from? What are the thoughts? You may have come from a dysfunctional home, but if you start working on yourself to become better, you would actually have children who are fantastic. I don't come from a fantastic home, but my home was a bit okay.
Yeah.
My husband, on the other hand, didn't really come from like a fantastic home per se, and all of that. Guess what? He's the best father to my boys. Like, it's like I'm watching Instagram, like I'm literally looking, I'm like, oh my God, why? He chose to be different. He chose to look. So what are you choosing? Are you letting where you're coming from decide what it is you're going to do in your future? Because that's how you act with every other person. That's how you act with if you're a joyful person on a natural, you would be joyful to every other person. True. If you're bitter from somewhere, you will be quick to get angry, you'll be quick to get bitter, and you're wondering, why is she always angry? Why is she always... It's not about you. It's just she's angry with herself. Even the Bible says we should love others the way we love ourselves.
Finally, somebody is saying what I've been saying for years.
So,
like,
you can't.
When I keep telling people that they quote that scripture, I know we are digressing.
Yeah.
But when people quote that scripture and say, love your neighbor, they often make it as a reference for you to love other people. But I come to think of it, I say,
do you love
Jesus
yourself?
said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Meaning you cannot draw water from an empty well. Meaning you have to love yourself. If you do not love yourself, what kind of love do you think you're giving?
What do you say to yourself? That's part of love. What are the words that come out of your
people
mind?
are easy to compliment other people. They are easy. They find it easy to praise other people. But when it comes to you, you're always negative.
Because it's two-pronged. So this is it. I can tell you now, oh my God, you're so nice, you're so beautiful. Most times, the reason I'm doing that to you is because that's what I want. That's how the human being communicates. Most times when a person loves you, they love you the way they want to be loved, not the way you want to be loved.
And that's a problem.
That's why people need to go and understand themselves. Go for counseling, go for therapy. These things are not
I once
hard.
dated someone and I told the person, you are loving me the way you want to be loved. You are loving me the way you think I want to be, but this is not how I want to be. Love me the way I want to be loved.
Exactly.
And that was a problem because he kept saying, and this is not marriage, this is relationship.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, I'm doing everything. I'm like, no, I don't feel loved. You are doing this. I see it. I acknowledge it. But do I feel loved? No. And that was like, at the end of the day, it turned, I'm not appreciative, and I'm like, you're not doing enough. So
there was no point really. So that's the thing. So people do that. Then the second part is that people will always project who they are. So for example, why do I have a low self-esteem? Why do I feel bad about myself? Why do I feel like I can't make it? Why do I always second guess myself when I'm in a group of people? Why do I always, do you understand what I'm saying? If you notice, a lot of the people who have superiority complex or are quick to criticize somebody are critical of themselves. It's not pride anything. It's not this is why it's a lie. All that thing is a cover. They really do not believe in themselves. When a person looks at you and say, who are you? As in, they just size you up. They've sized themselves up before they size you up.
So bringing it back to our topic, right?
Yes.
It also shows that we need to work on ourselves.
Yes.
Children are blessings, from God. We are Christians. So yes, that is our belief. But if you decide, okay, you do not want to have kids, that's okay too.
That's okay. Just make sure you're working on yourself regardless of your decision.
But they can actually be a burden when you, like you said from the word go, are not prepared.
Yes.
For it.
Yes.
And I also think, do not bring in children in thinking that other people will train them for you.
No, please don't do that. They are not any other person's child. They are your children.
People do that.
Yes, they do. But you're meant to pass on. That's the thing. People don't understand. Again, back to education. Education is not school, 4 walls of school. Education is, what do you know about that topic? What do you understand? I see a lot of people force when their kids are not speaking at 1, when their kids are not talking at 2. You don't understand that there's a developmental stage of every child.
And they're not the same.
There's a basics for every child. So when you see a red flag, you know to go and check it out. But you also need to learn about the children. What are children's developmental stage? How do I train my children? All this African parenting. You cannot. I've told you several times. No, the brain of that child at that point cannot
And they'll
understand.
just be
So
beating
you must
children.
repair. So that's where the damage
You're
comes from.
beating me. You're not telling me why I'm being beaten.
And you think you are loving the child. Then the child grows and wants to run away from home. And then you say the child is ungrateful.
You see, that's the thing. I'll have to put it out there. Some African parents, no, it doesn't really happen with mothers. It happens, but it's rare. Let me not use it's rare, but it seldom happens with mothers. But with that, I'm not dragging anybody, but it's the truth. If you are a 90s kid or 80s or 90s, you see that when the father comes in, everybody runs away. It's not like now. Dads now are cool.
Are cool, man.
They are playing. You see them playing with their children. But then it wasn't so. It was just a few of them that were doing that. It wasn't so. So they have this I don't know how to put it.
Feared and honored.
Thank you.
Above all.
And they felt like, okay, that's the way to go. Then they carried on. Then that child grows. And
it's closer to the mom than the dad. Then they say it's a problem.
Thank you. Then they blame the woman
that she did not train the child to.
How do you? It's just like, let me go back to our African moms now. They tell us from when you start your period. Let me just put it like that. If it's 10, if it's 8, if it's 12. You're always told, do not go near boys. Do not have...
Yes, if they touch you, you get pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom did not tell me they touch me because she's a medical doctor. I already knew what all these things were before even my period started, so I knew. So they tell them these things. Tell us these things. Avoid boys. Yes, I was told avoid boys. A lot of, But you grew up, now you are in uni, avoid boys. When you now finish uni, they are looking at you like, where is your boy?
Bring man.
Which man?
When are you bringing man?
Which
man
are
you bringing? You told me to avoid, I avoided. Now, where am I supposed to go and find the man from? Like, am I supposed to...
And some of this, it also makes some of young girls to just, they don't know how to, in relationship, they don't know how to talk. In the midst of people, they cannot even talk. And this is the same girl you want to say, go and bring.
That's the thing. Education. Education is not maths and English. Education is when you learn about a particular thing. God has given the wisdom to people to write and share the information on how certain things happen. That's why when you're sick, you go to the doctor. And I tell people, I can come for counseling, they're like, therapy is not needed. God will save it. And I ask myself,
you see, that's what I told you. When somebody tell you spiritual problem,
when you are sick, you go to the hospital. How come your first thought is not to go to your pastor? He can heal, can't he?
No, some people, their first thought is to go to the hospital.
Yes, that's another reverse problem.
Yeah.
So you go to your pastor and you say you want to get healed, but you've forgotten that God gave somebody wisdom to be a doctor. That's why he allowed that information to raise, so that he can know there are some things that they cannot do. Even the doctors tell you that we treat, it is God who heals.
Yes.
They have the wisdom to do the medicine, but God is the one that gives the ability. And guess what they mean by that God? It is your mindset. I read recently, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine, and he said that a person can be sick. And everything says that this person will die in a few days. If the person's mental health is fixed on the fact that they want to live, back to believing and what you're exuding, if they are positive about life and they feel like they're going to live, that will can override their whole body system and change whatever it is that has happened.
Reminds me of a story. I don't know if it happened or not, but we heard the story. 2 people went to the doctor for medical whatever. The one was told that he has cancer and I think he has 6 months to live. The other was told that was given a clean bill of health,
Yeah.
But the thing now is, the one that was told he has cancer, 6 months to live, is actually healthy. The one that was told clean bill of health is actually sick. That's the one that has cancer, but somehow they mixed up the 2 reports. Yeah. Now, the one that originally has cancer but was told he's fine went home and was living a very happy life. Remember, inside there was cancer.
Yes.
Now the other one that was healthy but was told he has cancer believed that, and day in, day out was actually showing symptoms of somebody that was sick.
Yes.
Eventually, I think the person died or something, and they found that the person wasn't sick. But the other person, had 6 months after, is still alive, and so I think, like you said, the power of
Your mental health is connected
thought,
to your physical health.
you know. So at the end of the day, what is your final thought on this? Do you agree that, okay, children are blessings and are burdens, or do you think, oh, they are burdens and, you know, they should stay in their own island?
When God made everybody, he made the things, the 7 days, the 6 days that he made, because he rested on the 7. Everything he made, he said it was good.
Yeah.
God doesn't make things that are burdens. As a matter of fact, he says, bring your burden to me and take my yoke, for it is light. Children are good. Children are a blessing. You exist because somebody thought to give birth to you. We're having this conversation because our parents did not shut their wombs and say they are not giving birth to us. And many more will come because there are things God wants to do on earth. There are so many things to be achieved. So yes, children are good. However, if you know that you have a concern with having children, get education, get help. Talk to a professional, someone who understands what you may be going through. Don't think you can do life by yourself. None of us. I'm a therapist. I have my therapy. I go for therapy.
Physician, heal yourself.
Oh yes, I go for therapy. I can't do it. Do I know how to keep myself healthy? Yes, but there are sometimes my mind goes crazy because I'm also a human being who goes through burdens and stuff. I go and I sit down and I listen. And I get help. So don't be afraid of help. That's what I'll just say. Go and get help. Everything that you are is beautiful. It's like saying, why can't you carry, I want to do a shop. Everybody wants to have multiple shops. Everybody wants to have branches here and there. Have you ever heard anybody say, and only this one branch? Now I won't get. I don't want to have any other business. Only this one. No. If you hear somebody saying that, you tell the person, it's like something is doing you.
Well, it's okay too if you want to have anything.
Yes, but when you think about the multiplication of how much money you're going to get, you tell the person this is not financial wisdom. Obviously, it's coming from somewhere. So it's the same thing with children. You decide with your partner or by yourself if you want to have kids. If you feel like there's a concern, go and get education, go and get help. After these two things, if you still feel like you want to give it some time or you don't mind not having children at all, by all means, don't let society pressure you. Nobody is there to see what you're going through. You go through life by yourself. When you die, you're dying by yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I think for me, I'll just have to say that it's okay not to want to have kids.
Yeah.
You know, because if you do not want to have kids, maybe because of health or whatever it is, and then you go ahead and have kids because of what people are going to say, nobody is going to train those kids for you. You know, if those children come out, you know, and they are not mentally stable or emotionally grounded, you will be the one that the same society that pushed you will still blame. At the end of the day, you know, children are God's heritage, of course. You know, just like the arrow is in the hand of a quiver, the hand of a strong man or something like that, the quiver of a strong man. So children, you know, but at the end of the day, do not be giving birth to children you cannot take care of.
Word.
Do not bring in children. And when I say take care of, people mistake it with finances.
It's not just about
being sure you are emotionally ready to have kids. Be sure you are financially, ready to have kids. Be sure you are physically ready, because these days I see children having children. And and that's not right. That's not right. You put that child, you know, because that child is at your mercy now, you now put that child through a lot of things that when the child grow up, the child will now be seeking for, you know, therapy for traumatic experiences. Let's be kind to children. They might not be able to express themselves the way, you know, we do, but do not suffer them by bringing them into this world when you have not prepared a place for them. Even Jesus Christ said, in my Father's house there are many mansions, but he's going to prepare a place for us. Imagine if Jesus did not want to prepare a place for you. So I think we should put that in mind. Thank you so very much, Tessie, for doing this. Definitely we will have to come back again. Of course. We have a lot to talk about. Like, we were talking about a lot of things, you know, behind camera. Of course, we'll have a lot of things to talk about in another episode. Thank you guys for being part of this episode with me. Till I come your way again, please be good, take care of yourself, and have a beautiful day ahead. Bye.